Okay guys, this is example 4, 5, and 6 on 3A part 2. And we did the first 3 examples and an introduction to multiplying on that first video for this section. So be sure to check that out. But if you feel like seeing some more examples would be helpful, that's what this video is for. So let's go ahead and go to example number 4 right away. So here's example number 4 for 3A part 2, multiplying polynomials. Example number 4 is kind of a different looking polynomial where we have 4x in front of a parenthesis x plus 2, okay? And then we have minus 2 in front of x squared minus 4x plus 8. And I had said when we were combining like terms that if we have an add or a subtract or anything in between our parentheses, then it's just a combined like terms. And that's true if it's just a sign, an add or a subtract. But if we have a term out in front, like we do in this example, we need to multiply or distribute that term, okay? And instead of using the box, I think it's a little easier to just do it by distribution. So that would be this 4x needs to multiply both of the terms inside the parenthesis that comes right after, okay? And just that following parenthesis, right? It's only multiplying what it's in front of there. And then our negative 2, and remember, we're also distributing that negative, okay? So our negative 2 needs to multiply each of the terms inside this parenthesis that's right after it, right? So let's see what that looks like when we do that. And start here with our 4x. So our 4x times x is going to give us 4x squared, right? Now we've done this first one. And 4x, we've got to multiply times that second term too, which will give us, 4x times 2 is going to give us a plus 8x. Now remember, we have to have an add or a subtract between each term, okay? Now we're just going to move on. We've done this first part. Now we need to do our second part. So negative 2 times x squared is going to give us a negative 2x squared, okay? And then negative 2 times negative 4x will give us a plus 8x. Negative 2 times a positive 8 will give us a negative or a subtract 16. Okay, I think it's easiest to do it this way. So now we're done distributing or multiplying these terms out in front. And at this point, we've got to combine like terms. And so I'm going to show you a different way that we can show categories for our terms. Okay? So for our constants, we can use, we can just underline those constants or those terms that don't have a variable. When we have an x, that's an x to the first power or just an invisible x, we can circle that term. Now remember, we want to include the sign to the left. We've got another x term here, okay? For our x squared terms, we can write a square around that for x squared. Okay, if we had an x cubed term, we could use a triangle, right? And so forth, okay? Different shapes to kind of remind us that we have different kinds of terms that we need to combine. And as we combine those like terms, of course, we want to put them in order with our biggest exponent first. And that's our x squared term. So here's our positive 4x squared combining with a negative 2x squared. It'll give us a positive 2x squared when we combine them. Now we're going to combine our positive 8x and our positive 8x to give us a plus 16x, and then our constant, minus 16. And we are in standard form, so that is our answer. All right, let's go ahead and move on to example number 5. Example number 5. So for example number 5, we have x squared minus 4x plus 3 times x cubed minus 2x minus 4. So we have 3 terms multiplying 3 terms. That means our box needs to be a 3 by 3. That's kind of a big box. So a 3 by 3 box, because we have 3 terms multiplying 3 terms there, okay? Our terms will go on the outside of our box, so x squared minus 4x plus 3. And then our next polynomial, x cubed minus 2x minus 4. Now we're going to do that multiply step. We're going to multiply every row and column. Here we're multiplying. So x cubed times x squared, we're going to add those exponents to get x to the 5th, and so on. So negative 2x times x squared will give us a negative 2x cubed. Negative 4 times x squared is going to give us a negative 4x squared. Negative 4x times x cubed will give us a negative 4x to the 4th power, because there's an invisible 1 there that we're adding to that 3, remember. Negative 4x times negative 2x will give us a positive 8x squared. Now remember, a negative times a negative will give us that positive. Negative 4x times a negative 4 will give us a positive 16x. And we'll just keep going. X cubed times a positive 3 will give us a positive 3x cubed. Negative 2x times a positive 3 will give us a negative 6x. Negative 4 times a positive 3 is going to give us a negative 12. Now we're done with our multiply step. And now we need to combine like terms, okay? So we have a big 3 by 3 with lots of different terms. And so I'm gonna take this opportunity to show you one more method for combining like terms. And this is the horizontal method. So we know we have x to the 5th terms and x to the 4th terms. We have x cubed terms, x squared terms, x terms, and then our constant, okay? And instead of doing them in rows, or columns rather, like we did for 3A part 1, we can do them in rows, okay? So here's our x to the 5th term, we just have one of them, right? For our x to the 4th terms, again, we just have one of them. For our x cubed terms, we actually have 2 of them. So we're going to take that negative 2x cubed and positive 3x cubed, put those in that row. Then we have our x squared terms. We have a positive 8x squared, and then we have a negative 4x squared. We have x terms. We have a negative 6x and a positive 16x. And then for our constants, we just have that negative 12, okay? And when we combine each of those horizontal categories, this is again the horizontal method, right? These are simply the type of category that's in each row. So we won't combine those, right? We're just going to combine all of the terms in each category, okay? So for that first category, for our answer, and I'm gonna come all the way over here, right? We'll get x to the 5th, that'll be our first term. Then we'll get minus 4x to the 4th. When we combine minus x cubed and positive 3x cubed, we'll just get a positive 1x cubed. We don't need to write that 1 in front. You can, but you don't need to. For our x squared terms, we'll get a positive 4x squared. Okay? For our x terms, we'll get a positive 10x. And then we don't have anything to combine with our negative 12. And there is our answer for example number 5 in standard form, right? Our biggest exponent in descending order, okay? Now, you also can simply combine them out of the box as you go, but remember, those terms are not always in diagonal groupings, okay? So here we would have to remember to look for all those x cubed terms, right? And then the x squared terms and so forth. So this is another way that we can combine like terms with the horizontal method, okay? And sometimes when we have a big box like that, it's helpful to use either the horizontal method or the vertical method with our columns, okay? Let's do our last example, example number 6. And for example number 6, we have 2x plus y times 2x minus y. And what's interesting here is that now we've got a y term. We have an x term and a y term. But we're going to multiply it the way we've been doing with our box. So we have 2 terms multiplying 2 terms. That means we need a 2 by 2 box. Our terms will go down from our first polynomial, and it doesn't matter which one goes for the rows and for the columns. We could do it the opposite way, but they do go on the outside of our box when we're multiplying. Okay? And now we'll do that multiplication step. So 2x times 2x will give us a positive 4x squared. Negative y times a positive 2x, that's a different base. So we can't just add exponents like we've been doing. Instead, we just need to write a new kind of term where we have the x followed by the y, right? But this negative times the positive will make our term negative, okay? And we'll just put those variables in alphabetical order. Whenever we just have numbers right up against variables and variables against variables, remember this is all multiply, okay? Negative 2 times x times y, and we'll just say negative 2xy. And that's what we're going to get here, except for here it's going to be positive. And then our negative y times our positive y will give us a negative y squared. Be careful there, okay? Because that'll give us a negative y squared. Be real careful with your signs, all right? Now we're going to combine like terms. Okay, we're done multiplying. We're in our combine like terms. Our x squared term will give us that 4x squared. And here we've got a new kind of term, an xy term. But since it's the exact same term, different signs, when we add it together, they'll cancel. So negative 2xy combined with positive 2xy combines to 0. So those will cancel. And we won't see that term showing up in our answer. But of course we need that negative y squared term. Okay? And that's our answer. 4x squared minus y squared. Okay? All right, guys, that is our second video for 3A Part 2. Again, if you missed our examples 1, 2, and 3, be sure to go back and watch that first video. All right, thanks, guys.